You know, I mentioned this several times. When people say, get woke, go broke, what they often ignore is that many of these businesses got broke, so they went woke, trying to exploit the far left for sweet, sweet green. And it works. It really does. There's a viral video going around right now of this this morbidly obese black woman. I'm not saying that to be mean. I have to preface this. She literally is morbidly obese. She's standing next to a sign that says, all white people are racist, PayPal me, and her PayPal information. Someone asked, the ultimate goal of critical race theory is to leverage white guilt into cash in your pocket. And it is. And Colin Kaepernick is the king of this. Breitbart brings it up, and it's very clever. They point out, no NFL teams called Kaepernick about a job. Really? I wonder why that would be. More importantly, would Kaepernick even take the job? And the answer is no. Why would he? He's got those sweet social justice, sponsorships coming in. Why would he want to take a lower paying job actually having to do work? Think about it. When you play football, you got people running at you and you got to jump and oh man, think about it. You got to actually move around. Yikes. Now, social justice. You know that meme of Bugs Bunny and he's like sitting there all lazily with his eyes half closed and then he lifts his gun and fires it. That's what Kaepernick's discovered. He can sit back, eating chips, doing whatever he wants, playing video games, and then every once in a while just tweet something like, all white people are racist and you should send me money. And then boom, Nike sponsorship. Let's read the story. They say, according to a source to Pro Football Talk, no one has contacted Colin Kaepernick agents about signing their client to an NFL contract. Quote, per a source with knowledge of the situation, there was some fake interest expressed immediately after Floyd's death, seemingly out of guilt. Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio writes, there has been zero interest expressed as to Kaepernick in months. Well, he was considered an average quarterback. So why would anyone want to deal with getting woke and going broke? Now for Kaepernick, he was getting broke, so he got woke. At one point along the way, NFL media reported that teams had contacted friends and associates of Kaepernick and that they would be contacting his agent when they get to the point where they're confident enough that they think they can work out a contract. So either they never got to the point of confidence that they can work out a contract or it was all just more BS. Pro Football Talks Mike Florio gets very emotional when it comes to Kaepernick. Still, the truth is there's likely as little interest from Kaepernick in the NFL as there is from the NFL in Kaepernick right now. Colin Kaepernick lives a charmed life of occasional speaking engagement, running a social justice camp for kids, tweeting something insane on the 4th of July, and filming the occasional video for Nike. His compensation for all of this? A star deal with Nike. Charles Robinson says details on Kaepernick and Nike. It's wide endorsement. He's going to have his own branded line, shoes, shirts, jerseys, etc. There will be Kaepernick apparel. Contract is a star deal on par with top-end NFL player, millions per year. Star deals also include royalties. Boom, there it is. Average QB who couldn't cut it, bends the knee, starts complaining, takes some heat, and now he is worth millions. The grift pays off, baby. I love how they like to accuse people in this, tribe or tent or whatever, I don't know what you call it, of grifting. And there are some people who do. And I tell you what, sometimes I kind of wish I just played video games for a living because I could do a lot less work and mind my own business and nobody would care. And maybe that's not true, though. Somehow I've managed to avoid the press. Don't ask me. For real, they haven't said anything about me. Even as I gain all of these followers and subscribers, I'm kind of happy minding my own business and complaining about things on the internet. It works out pretty well. But a lot of people like to say that, commentators like myself are specifically outraged about things or highlight things in order to, get ratings or turn a profit. And I think it's true for some people, but ultimately I think it's just missing the point. On this side, for what I do, I turn the camera on and I rant. There's no script. There's no plan. I'm like, whoa, Kaepernick, nobody called him. I want to talk about that. And of course, because of my, compulsion or whatever, I can talk seemingly forever. But I like to express myself on these issues and explain my opinions. It just so happens that some people like watching, and that's that. Kaepernick, on the other hand, was not a great player. He's exploiting social justice for cash, and it's working. There's an active choice to tweet these things out and say these things. Now, I do think it's fair to point out, when it comes to people like Kaepernick and others, many of them probably do believe these opinions, but there's something different about it. There's no meritocracy in what Kaepernick is doing. None. When it comes to online commentary, you have to actively do work. You can't just cross your fingers and hope someone comes along and says, I like what you're saying, here's $1 million, because there's no major corporations that want to sponsor this kind of stuff. Sure, I get the occasional sponsor, I'll shout him out, but it's a pittance relative to the multi-million-dollar deal that Kaepernick gets. You see, he comes out, says something that is considered popular, and Nike's like, let's slap, his name all over our products and turn a profit. Because these people on the left are falling in line and following. There's no real requirement to be good at what you do. Just say the right thing and there you go. Now, when it comes to other jobs, when it comes to independent commentary, there's more work involved. So some people on the left and the right will grift on Twitter and they make money from it. But then you have personalities on the right who take great personal sacrifice or risk great personal sacrifice because of this. There's no popularity in challenging the status quo. I mean, among the right there is, but it's a huge risk. Can you get a job in the future? These people you're more likely to get fired from your job for speaking up. So there is risk. They like to think there's a grift here, maybe for people who have nothing left to lose, sure. But Kaepernick, on the other hand, he didn't have anything to lose. He had everything to gain. He wasn't special at all. Average. Nobody wanted him anyway, and they still don't. They go on to say, some outlets put Kaepernick's deal to be north of $5 million per year. So why would he have any interest in getting blasted by 310-pound defensive linemen and heightening his risks of contracting COVID to make $12,000 a week on some backup quarterback contract? It makes no sense. There's only one group of people in America who want to see Kaepernick play football, the media. They want the story, and they want the images of his rebellious cast-off returning in full glory to assume his rightful place, playing the most high-profile position in the league that shunned him. The reality is, Kaepernick has already conquered the NFL. He used his last season to inject the league with a fatal poison that revealed its moral weakness and faux patriotism. Then, after lighting that match, he walked away and watched the American sports version of Rome burn. Kaepernick won enough games as an athlete to know what victory looks like, and he's seeing it now. Why risk tearing an ACL just to give Mike Florio a headline? It's an excellent point. Another point made in this article over at City Journal. Eye on the News. Boycotting themselves out of business. By skipping games for nebulous political demands, pro athletes threaten to alienate fans and crater their own industry. They are extracting whatever value they can in exchange for outrage. And now let me end this by saying why communism just doesn't work, or at least socialism. Think about UBI. That's what I love. Universal basic income. You know why I think it won't work? There's a lot of reasons why I think it won't work, but let me tell you one. It's this. Right now, people work, produce things, and they get money for it. Imagine a world of universal basic income. Now, there are many good things to say about it. That's why I like exploring the idea, and I think it should be researched further because there's probably a way we can implement something like it. But let's take a look at just dumping money into the ecosystem. The problem is right now we have many people with nothing to do, yet they still easily access resources. They then allocate those resources towards rioting and other dumb things. If they can survive without having to do work, they dedicate themselves to ideology. And there's a problem. Imagine this. The year is 2040. UBI is nationwide. Farmers still have to farm. They still have to do work. People in cities aren't working because they have UBI. Now, UBI doesn't necessarily replace the work they do, but many young people choose just to pool their money together and live in squalor. You know, I know this would likely happen because I've done it with a bunch of friends. As a skateboarder, many of us just want to figure out how to accrue just enough money so that we can all sleep on the floor of a one-bedroom apartment with like 5 people so that we can spend most of our time doing whatever we want, skateboarding and not having to actually work. And so you end up with people doing the bare minimum, cramming themselves in apartments. You give people UBI, and this is likely to happen. And then people will start showering money on those who praise them. What happens? Seeing that you can make more money grifting than actually playing basketball or doing work, people will say, I'd rather just complain about stuff and get free money from people who have nothing else to do. And then you create a new class of individuals. The ideologue, the preacher class, the priest class, those that just get money from others to complain. They already exist, and Kaepernick is one of them. Imagine if a ton of people had nothing to do and free money on their hands. They would siphon all that money to their ideological priests, and they will tithe, and that will create this, well, it will expand the far left's ridiculous religion. I'm not a fan of that idea. I prefer meritocracy, and I like the idea that people help. They help build things. Right now, you got too many people who don't work, and maybe that's what they need. You know, the idle hands, the devil's playground. Well, these people don't even want to have idle hands. These people are bored and purposeless, so they found a purpose, smashy, smashy, in the name of some kind of nebulous social justice political cause. In the end, sports players, athletes, musicians, celebrities realize, why am I doing all this work when I can just tweet the orange man is bad and then people will PayPal me like that morbidly obese lady who stood up calling white people racist? She's making money by just insulting them to their face. Talk about a dream job. Imagine if you could stand in front of the people you hated and say, you stink, you're ugly, you guess you're okay, but I hate you anyway. Now give me money. And they do. How incredible is that? I don't want to create an economy based on that. That sounds terrible. That's apparently what Twitter is, though. And that's why, in the end, I believe UBI moving in this direction can be detrimental. Can be. Not necessarily is. We need to make sure we pay attention to what people are doing and instill purpose or a drive within people. They need to find passion for their own work. Ideology is not the answer. Write a book. A story, make a video game, paint a picture, go on an adventure. This ain't it. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up in a few minutes. Stick around and I will see you all shortly.